So in that bio that I cobbled together for you, it shares, some of only, and it actually doesn't do you justice, but you've worked at a range of different educational institutions, including colleges, both Moodle as well as Instructure, a number of other companies. And one thing that's really shown throughout is your passion for teaching and learning. And I'd say over the past year, what's really come to the fore is around AI and how AI can, how we can weave that into education for potentially incredible impact. So let's start to narrow in on that. So why AI and education? Do they mix, and why do they? If so, why do they mix together so well?
This will surprise you none the least when I say I want to take a bit of a rambly response to that answer. I actually think this. I think this is important.
Time's up. Great. It was a great discussion.
Thank you, Matt Damon. We'll see you next week. No, there's an obscure reference for those who pick up that one. No, the reason for the slightly rambly answer is people look at using EdTech, educational technologies, for different reasons. Sometimes it's because we have to do everything online because of distance education, or things like COVID. But for most of us, we use e-learning tools to augment our face-to-face practice. We're trying to increase an efficiency or engagement or something like that. And the reason I take the slight rambly answer is you mentioned that you've always been drawn to the passion I have. For me, EdTech has been about a passion of how do we deliver more quality education at scale. And that for me has always been the driver. Now, that's much easier said than done. In the early days, I'd like to say early days, I think many people are still guilty of this, but we go, oh, we have an LMS and we throw 15 PDFs up in a quiz and go, we're doing e-learning.
Yes, right.
Like all things, what was it? Savage from Mythbusters quite famously once said, every tool's a hammer. You can look at a problem and every tool's a hammer. The LMS became that. But the reason for me for the ramble is good EdTech really does actually help us with this problem of quality at scale. When we're looking at, lecture theatres, we've got a higher student to teacher count than ever before. How do we provide quality? Well, maybe we can put more things online. How do I better support those who need support, be it academically, neurodiversity, physically, whatever those needs are? Well, maybe I can use online tools to provide better differentiation and better support. And that, for me, has what's always driven me to the EdTech space, which is we can use these tools to provide quality at scale if we do it right, to allow us to augment. And I'm going to say the word classroom, but it could be a university lecture theatre or a K-12. So the reason I start with that preamble is that what has really excited me genuinely about the generative AI space. Here are tools that are built to understand context in language. At its core, that's what we're seeing with generative AI. And then, of course, we're going to talk about all the ways it's expanded from that. But the ability for me as an educator who is time poor, who is trying to focus on my educational outcomes, to say, actually, here's a tool that can genuinely save time, but allow me to create, to remix, to differentiate, to research, or even to provide tools for my students that will allow them to do the same. That really is a significant shifting moment for us. And we will spend the next half hour talking about, the benefits of that, the risks of that. Like, there is so much to unpack. Right. But at its core, that's what excites me about the Gen AI movement. It is really the next stepping stone into how we can provide quality at scale and how we can use computing power potentially to help us reach that goal.
Brilliant. And you've been, as you've investigated various technologies, you've been great in terms of sharing that on LinkedIn and elsewhere. And I recall a few videos where you said, my mind has just been blown by the latest technology. And then a couple months pass and I'm like, that's ancient history. And now look at what this new tech can do. So Gen AI is moving so quickly. There's so many, we obviously hear about the big names like ChatGPT and OpenAI, but there's so much else happening out there. So how, and you and I focus on EdTech for a living, but how do teachers, parents, administrators, how should they keep up? How can they keep up? Yeah.
Oh, I'd like you to throw the easy questions out first. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Look,
And world peace is up next, so just a heads up. So okay.
yeah. No, look, my honest and genuine response is a combination of I don't know, and yet also it's a bit easier than we think, which is a weird fence to try and sit on between those two lines. The speed of movement has been astronomical. It is really weird to think that, again, AI has been around for years. This is not a new thing. We
Right.
talk about AI as a new thing, but we've been using AI for Grammarly. Grammarly is a wonderful example of a text-based AI that has helped save many of my emails from being dog's breakfast for years. We look at Apple Maps, Google Maps. We've had AI and data-centered AI tools for over a decade in active use. It's been around since the 70s. What changed November a year ago? So again, it's really important to kind of put this date on it. It has now been, 13, 14 months since OpenAI released this little product that even they had themselves come after going, we didn't think it would have that big an impact. But where they went and released a product that suddenly made the world take notice of what generative AI could do. And we'll unpack that just a second. But when the world suddenly kind of grasped onto this and went, wow, that's the capability of these tools, what we have seen in that last 13, 14 months of growth has been astronomical. Every day there's another 5 new tools. Of those 5 new tools, 4 of them are remixes, reused ideas, but maybe one of them just changes everything. So how do we keep up? Get back to your question. If you're lucky to be people like you and I, we are in the networks. We are. I'm looking at my LinkedIn's, but yeah, I have set up numerous feeds and searches, and yes, I'm using AI to help me do it. That helped me keep track of what's going on and to filter through. Try and separate that wheat and the chaff. But we are unique. We are special individuals, and I don't say that to make ourselves sound extra special, but we have that time and experience, and it's kind of comes part of our jobs. The good news is, though, and this is where I go from saying, hey, it's really hard and there's so much coming through, but education networks are built to share quality data, and be it organizations like Theta and Ascalite in the higher ed, organizations like Mighty here in Australia in the K-12 space, and Vine and others like that. Educators are already getting together and going, hey, not only have I found this cool new tool, but this is how I'm using it for my educational practice. And for educators, all I can say is connect with your networks. You'll be absolutely amazed at what your peers are doing, and that's how you can get yourself up to speed. Let someone else do the work.
Yeah.
But engage in that community of practice. And in that last, again, I keep saying 1.5 years, 14 months. Let's just kind of average it to 1.5 years for the sake of argument. In that time, we have seen so many different educational communities kind of grappling with and wrangling with and pulling apart and putting back together, and now starting to have coherent views and coherent thoughts on AI. And I think that really is a magic point that as we come into 2024, that those networks really are providing huge value to those inside of them.